Many WNBA fans are calling out the referee problem.
The referees literally turned their back.
Caitlin Clark appears to be hunted every game. She deals with physicality that no other player in the league is dealing with. The WNBA not stepping in to protect their cash cow, their only draw, their only star. And this is the end.
She was meant to revolutionize the league, its future star. But in just a few games, Caitlin Clark went from poster child to prime target.
Shocking.
Caitlin Clark will be sidelined for at least 2 weeks
with a quad injury.
Footage has emerged how Caitlin Clark got hurt.
Fouls her for the 4th time. It's cheating.
Caitlin Clark is the driving force behind the interest in the Fever and the interest in the WNBA.
Rookie Caitlin Clark was subject to several intentional fouls.
And it wasn't just rival teams. This went beyond typical rookie struggles. What unfolded felt calculated and far more dangerous.
After every single game, WNBA players, fans, coaches are all complaining about the referees, and they have shown that they're not going to change anything because the referees continue to be horrible.
Game after game, Caitlin took hits, got knocked down, and battled through constant no calls. The refs, meant to protect fairness, stood by like background actors in a bad drama. What began as missed calls turned into a pattern of letting obvious fouls slide as Clark hit the floor. Comment, protect CC, below to show your support.
Lions head coach Stephanie White. She was complaining about her team not getting a whistle, not being respected.
Then came the moment everyone feared, Caitlin sidelined with a quad injury. Suddenly, fans replayed every ignored foul, every unchecked hit, and every pleading look she gave the refs for calls that never came.
He will be out for 2 weeks minimum following a quad strain.
Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham going to the officials and trying to, ask for an explanation of what had just occurred. That official completely stopped.
It stopped feeling like bad luck and started to look deliberate. Just as the outrage peaked, new reports exposed how broken the officiating system truly is.
This is a WNBA problem, and as more and more eyeballs are watching this league, it becomes growingly an issue. The officiating feels you never have a true grasp on what it
turns out. Many of the league's refs came straight from high school games. Worse, they're not even calling plays on their own. Instead, behind-the-scenes group of GMs, coaches, and stakeholders tells them how physical the game should be.
Referees are not listening to them. They're not listening to the coaches. They're not listening to the players. They're not listening to the fans. They're listening to their stakeholders. That's why I keep saying nothing is going to change till the mindset and whoever's running all of this, the stakeholders, governance, whoever these people are.
Caitlin Clark is stuck in the middle of a storm where influence, ego, and money collide. After weeks of rising outrage, viral clips, and voices from coaches and players, the WNBA is finally feeling the pressure.
This injury does anything. It should be a wake-up call to the WNBA, the Players Association, the team owners, that just like that, all this fanfare, all this interest, all this newfound attention on the league can disappear.
With lawsuit whispers and rumors of ref bias, the league's golden goose is on the verge of becoming its biggest liability. And the million-dollar question remains, how far will they go to silence the very player they've profited from since day one?
Caitlin Clark is being roughed up, but the physical wear and tear on Caitlin Clark, I'm not surprised that 2 weeks into the season, she's already got an.
Caitlin Clark has never backed down. At Iowa, she rewrote the record books, drew millions of fans, and made women's basketball must-see TV. So when she entered the WNBA, expectations were sky high, not just for her game, but for the spark she could bring to a league in need of a boost.
2024 was a year of unprecedented growth in viewership in the WNBA, a substantial amount of which can be attributed to Caitlin Clark, who took the basketball world by storm after an all-time college career.
Who had appeared in 185 consecutive games between her career at Iowa and her time with the Indiana Fever. 139 games with the Iowa Hawkeyes. She never missed one.
And for a moment, it worked. Attendance soared, TV ratings shattered records. But instead of a red carpet, Clark was met with elbows, attitude, and hostility from day one.
Caitlin Clark, somebody who was responsible for 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity last season, including revenue from merchandise, ticket sales, and television.
Caitlin Clark out at least 2 weeks waited, but can the WNBA maintain without her? Can the WNBA pack arenas draw ratings?
From her first pro game, it wasn't just basketball, it was personal. Every matchup felt like a battle. Defenders treated her like it was UFC, not the WNBA, full court pressure, off-ball hacks, and hits better suited for rugby. And the refs? Silent. Fouls that would draw whistles for any other star got nothing for Clark. Time and again, she had to grit her teeth and keep going.
Referees just exposed their hand so bad, bro. I mean, they just didn't care no more. They didn't care. The world was watching how bad the cause was. They didn't care at all. They was going to get their issue off against the Fever no matter what. And I'm here to tell you, that's exactly what went down, bro. They have an agenda against Caitlin Clark.
All while the league pushed the same tired line, she just needs to adjust. But why is it always on her to change? Why is Caitlin Clark the only star told to toughen up while others get treated like crown jewels? Then came the injury. After logging heavy minutes, often 35 plus a night, Clark was sidelined with a left quad strain, out for at least 2 weeks.
He said the reason that people are complaining is because they haven't watched the WNBA before, and these are just new fans who don't understand. But
it wasn't just a setback, it was a gut punch for the Fever and a huge loss for the WNBA. And to many fans, it didn't feel like a fluke. It felt like the cost of neglect, the result of a season's worth of unchecked aggression and a league that failed to protect the one player keeping the lights on.
Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark has suffered a left quadricep strain and will be out for a minimum of 2 weeks.
This wasn't some twist of fate, it was a preventable disaster. What made it worse was the silence. No statements, no apologies, just Caitlin Clark added to the injury list. But she wasn't just any player. She was the face of the WNBA's new era. Benched not because she couldn't handle the heat, but because the system built to protect her chose to look the other way.
It's the Caitlin Clark disrespect. And what I mean by that is you've got somebody who is obviously the most popular player in basketball. You got somebody that I would argue may be a top 5 most popular athlete in the United States of America. All right. You got this athlete in a league that nobody's been watching, never turned a profit, and your system is broken against that team.
Even those on the court saw it coming. Kelsey Mitchell, Clark's own teammate, subtly urged her to listen to her body, a quiet nod to the pain Caitlin was pushing through, pain most would avoid. Fans noticed, media picked it up, and now the burning question remains: why was the league's brightest star left so exposed, and who benefits from her absence?
Kelsey Mitchell said even if there is a injury, hopefully it's just, like a little nagging thing. And again,
take care of your body and just make sure you I think recovery is everything. I think if you're in tune to your body, you know what you need.
A closer look at WNBA officiating reveals a troubling truth. The refs aren't just green, they are underqualified. Some jumped straight from high school games to the pros, skipping key development stages like college or the G League. These aren't seasoned vets, they are learning on the fly while handling the league's highest stakes matchups. And nowhere is that inexperience more obvious than in how they manage the league's most talked about player, Caitlin Clark.
You guys, and they do not talk about it here. And that's why I also don't want us to personally attack some of these referees. I think they're doing their job. If they are hiring referees who basically didn't have any experience but high school refereeing jobs, and then they did a stint in the G League, like, these referees actually aren't. I gained and reconfirmed with myself that not much is going.
But the rabbit hole goes deeper. These officials aren't calling games purely on judgment. Behind the scenes, a competition committee, made up of coaches, GMs, and stakeholders, dictates how games should be officiated. These aren't neutral parties, they have vested interests in specific outcomes. And this isn't speculation, league insiders have confirmed it. Refs are being told how physical to let games get, which fouls to emphasize, and what style of play fits the league's image, not necessarily what's fair.
There's a committee for stakeholders, coaches, governors, and general managers, and that is saying what style of basketball they want to allow, and the referees are following that.
Caitlin Clark disrupts the league's carefully curated status quo. She brings a faster pace, massive media attention, and a spotlight that unsettles the system. Her dynamic style clashes with the slower, more physical game the committee appears to prefer, leaving her unfairly punished on the court and unprotected by those meant to shield her.
It took us halfway through the season. This year, it took us 4 games for Stephanie White to say, I've had enough.
I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games.
Contact that would draw instant whistles in the NBA, or even college, is ignored. No calls, no accountability, just silence. And when Clark looks for answers, she's met with indifference. This isn't paranoia, it's systemic bias.
I see what's happening right here. That is a WNBA referee turning his back to Caitlin Clark and the Fever. Oh my God. I mean, he literally got his back turned, ignoring Caitlin. I mean, this is bad.
Time and again, Clark takes uncalled hits, while her slightest contact draws quick fouls. Coach Stephanie White tried to challenge one during a crucial game, but a technicality blocked her. She had a reset, not a full timeout. The refs stayed protected, Clark didn't. This kind of convoluted rule enforcement doesn't just cost games, it erodes trust.
She got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing.
This isn't about isolated mistakes, it's a flawed system where refs answer not to fairness, but to hidden agendas. Caitlin Clark isn't just facing defenders, she's up against a league more focused on controlling the narrative than protecting its biggest star.
The only draw in your league, the only player capable of selling tickets, is potentially out for an extended period of time. What the hell are you gonna do?
The more that comes to light, the clearer it is, this officiating crisis isn't accidental, it's intentional. The league may try to downplay it, but the backlash is growing. It's not just fans speaking out, players, coaches, and analysts across the country are calling it out, with Caitlin Clark at the center. This isn't about special treatment, it's about basic fairness.
That situation. And I understand the frustration that I think comes the most with officiating is the inconsistencies of officiating. But listen, this is not unique to the WNBA.
When refs repeatedly ignore blatant fouls on the league's biggest draw, calls for accountability grow louder. One of the most talked about moments came during the Fever vs Liberty showdown. With the game on the line, Clark drove to the basket and was clearly fouled by Natasha Cloud. Replays confirmed it from every angle. But there was no whistle, no call. Just game over.
Right, when that foul took place, CBS said she's got a challenge left. Well, it didn't matter. She couldn't use it. Stephanie White could not challenge that foul call on Lexi Hull, the one that led to the game-winning free throws from Sabrina Ionescu, because she didn't have a timeout. You need a full timeout, not a reset timeout, to initiate the challenge. Now, my issue with that is it would have been nice if the CBS announcers hadn't even brought up the challenge.
Clark and her teammates immediately approached the officials for an explanation, but got nothing. The refs just walked away. It sent a clear message to everyone watching, the whistle doesn't blow the same for everyone. And this wasn't an isolated incident. Earlier, coach Stephanie White tried to challenge a questionable foul on Lexi Hull, but league rules blocked her because she lacked a full timeout. Fans assumed she'd made a mistake, but in reality, her hands were tied by a system built to protect officials from scrutiny.
There's clearly a problem if it's not just one team. Also, by the way, it's not just the Indiana Fever. I know it's been the biggest story this week. Brittany Griner left a sideline interview to go yell at the ref.
Players are left exposed while referees hide behind technicalities. And the frustration has spread beyond Indiana. Brittany Griner interrupted a live halftime interview to openly criticize the officiating on national TV. Other coaches have called it disrespectful in post-game pressers. These aren't just emotional outbursts, they're strategic critiques pointing to a deeper problem. The rules aren't being applied consistently, and it's throwing off the game's rhythm, yet the WNBA remains unresponsive, brushing off the criticism as growing pains from new fans unfamiliar with the league's physical style. But that excuse doesn't hold up. The issue isn't physicality, it's inconsistency. When Caitlin Clark steps on the court, it's as if the rulebook changes. She's officiated differently, faces harsher contact, and when she powers through it all, the toll is ignored until her body gives out.
Did notice in the Liberty game, Caitlin Clark's shots were all very short, so it was showing that she wasn't like getting off and she was having a difficult time making those threes, and a lot of explosiveness from those three-point shots does come from your left.
Now sidelined with a quad strain, Caitlin Clark has become the face of a controversy the league can't ignore. Those speaking out aren't just defending her, they're exposing a culture that rewards silence and punishes excellence. Clark never asked for special treatment, only the standard every player deserves. But the more she rises, the more resistance she faces, not just from opponents, but from the very system meant to protect her. And the backlash isn't fading, it's growing, because the league underestimated one thing: the power of a spotlight they helped create.
Had appeared in 185 consecutive games between her career at Iowa and her time with the Indiana Fever. 139 games with the Iowa Hawkeyes. She never missed one.
Obviously, Caitlin's carrying a lot on her shoulders. A big star that is coming to a lot of these buildings.
Fans aren't just watching anymore, they are scrutinizing. The WNBA had a golden opportunity to reshape its future around a once-in-a-generation talent. Caitlin Clark didn't just join the league, she ignited it. She packed arenas, broke viewership records, and drew in a wave of new fans ready to believe in the product. But instead of rising with her, the league seems to be cracking under pressure, clinging to outdated power structures while ignoring a hard truth: the fans are paying attention. They saw her slam to the floor without consequence. They watched officials huddle, then walk away. They noticed when games turned not on talent, but on silent whistles. Now, those fans aren't just angry, they are mobilizing. Legal pressure is building. Media investigations are deepening. And conversations once held behind closed doors are now front-page news. The system is being exposed.
But at the same time, the Fever were on the wrong end of some whistles, it seemed, in this game, and it's seemingly been that way for much of the season, and it's been a recurring theme where there's a level of physicality allowed against them, and they're not allowed to reciprocate on the other end. That particularly, of course, goes for Caitlin.
For too long, accountability in the WNBA has existed in a closed loop. Referees answer to committees, committees to stakeholders, and no one to the public. But Caitlin Clark disrupted that loop. She didn't seek controversy or aim to lead a movement. But when the whistles fell silent and the elbows kept coming, the league placed her in that role. Now, every biased call, every uncalled foul, every moment of silence from the officials fuels a fire that's no longer containable. This isn't about favoritism, it's about protecting the integrity of the game. Because what's happening to Caitlin Clark sends a message to every young star and every girl in the stands: even if you break records, even if you make history, the system might still punish you for shining too brightly. That's not just unjust, it's unsustainable. A league that fails to protect its stars risks losing them, one injury, one controversy, one ignored foul at a time. If the WNBA doesn't urgently examine its officiating leadership and the hidden forces shaping the game, lawsuits may only be the beginning. This issue isn't going away. Clark's fans won't let it. The media won't let it. The truth is already out. The only question now is, will the league act before it's too late?